quiet, methodical tone. November 24th, 1971. Thanksgiving Eve at Portland International Airport. A man carrying a black briefcase approaches the Northwest Orient counter, pays cash for a one-way ticket to Seattle, and boards Flight 305 under the name Dan Cooper. Head toward Mexico City at a low altitude of 10,000 feet, keep the landing gear down, and leave the cabin unpressurized. He chose the Boeing 727 for one unique feature. It was the only commercial jet equipped with a rear staircase that could be deployed mid-flight. Somewhere over the dense forests of southwestern Washington, warning lights flash in the cockpit. The aft stairs have been lowered. Wearing a business suit and a parachute, grasping 21 pounds of stolen cash, Cooper steps off the ramp and plunges into the freezing storm. When the aircraft finally lands in Reno, Nevada, the cabin is empty. Ground teams found no trace of Cooper, his briefcase, or his parachute on the aircraft, and subsequent aerial searches of the flight path yielded no wreckage or human remains. The FBI immediately swarmed the abandoned aircraft on the Reno tarmac. They vacuumed the cabin, dusted every surface, and cataloged everything left behind to construct a forensic profile of the hijacker. Investigators zeroed in on seat 18E. Lying on the upholstery was a black J.C. Penney clip-on tie and a mother-of-pearl tie clip. The lab extracted 66 latent fingerprints from the cabin, along with a distinct DNA profile from the tie itself. That physical evidence triggered a massive manhunt. The FBI compiled files on thousands of suspects, tracking down military paratroopers, career criminals, and missing persons. Yet, cross-referencing those fingerprints and DNA against national databases failed to produce a definitive match. Every promising lead collapsed. The tie, the clip, and the fingerprints remained anonymous. Cooper had successfully stripped his identity from the crime scene before he ever reached the stairs. To find him, search teams had to map the exact moment he left the plane. Based on flight data and witness timelines, the FBI established a primary drop zone near Ariel, Washington. On the night of November 24, that area was experiencing extreme weather. The wind chill at 10,000 feet was well below zero. Heavy rain limited visibility to seat, and Cooper was jumping blindly into the darkness, wearing only a suit and loafers. This animated map shows the reality of the search area. The grid spans thousands of square miles of deeply rugged, forested mountains. The tree canopy is so thick a parachute would be swallowed from aerial view, and ground teams navigated uncharted ravines. Confronted with these brutal environmental conditions, investigators made a clinical calculation. The massive manhunt quietly transitioned into a recovery mission for human remains. 9 years passed in total silence. Then, in February 1980, an 8-year-old boy digging a fire pit on a beach along the Columbia River unearthed 3 bundles of decaying $20 bills. The total sum was exactly $5,800. The FBI quickly ran the serial numbers through their database. They were a perfect match to the ransom money given to Cooper. This map shows the geographical problem. Tina Bar sits 20 miles from the calculated drop zone, upstream from the flight path. Hydrologists argued the bundles could not have traveled that distance, opposed natural currents, and buried themselves intact in the sand. The only verified piece of physical evidence ever recovered completely contradicted the FBI's established flight path. The money left the Bureau with a search grid that no longer aligned with physical reality. As the official leads dried up, public obsession took over. Civilian sleuths dedicated their lives to analyzing the jump. Over the decades, men made death act confessions claiming to be Cooper, and copycat hijackers tried to replicate his exact methods, all of whom were quickly caught. By 2016, having chased every viable fingerprint, DNA sample, and tip, the FBI formally suspended active investigation into the case. The known facts point to a desperate man jumping into a freezing storm over brutal terrain, where survival was nearly impossible. Yet, the public prefers the narrative of a mastermind anti-hero who beat the system and escaped into a new life. The enduring legacy of D.B. Cooper exists in the void of the missing evidence. Science and law enforcement simply ran out of physical leads to follow, leaving the story to end where it began, on a cold staircase in the rainy night.